Welcome to US Tzu Chi 360. I'm Ginger Chang. Our feature today brings to light the staggering amount of food that is wasted by American society these days. According to the Natural Resources Defense Council, the average American is discarding 50% more food in the US than we did in the 1970s. Yet ironically, the United States is the leader in agricultural exportations and also has a population of about 50 million people who are food insecure. This time our team had the privilege to work with a few individuals who are addressing the socioeconomic and environmental impact of wasted food with sustainable solutions. I'm very happy to have Dr. Dixon DePommier, an Emeritus Professor of Environmental Health Sciences and Microbiology at Columbia University. Welcome, Dixon.
Thank you, Ginger. Pleasure to be here.
So I have a paper here that was published by the NRDC. And basically, this report says a lot of good food goes to waste.
Yeah. If you start with farming as a way of looking at how much is possible, and then analyzing how much actually reaches your plate.
Right.
So, according to the United States Department of Agriculture, about 50% of what we plant never reaches the plate. And then, of course, when it reaches the stores and people buy produce, 40% of what goes in the refrigerator spoils before we get to use it. So that's another series of losses that occurs. And then we have losses at the grocery store from just people handling things and falling on the floor and things like this. So there's a lot of places where your food can get lost.
Living in New York City, I'm pretty sure maybe at night you've come across a group of people who are actually digging through garbage. And what they're essentially doing is they're recovering the food and the products that you mentioned that goes to waste. And this is called dumpster diving.
Yes.
And this group of people, I'm not sure if you know who I'm referring to. They're called the freegans. And the free means the free food that they recover.
Yes.
And again is the philosophy to be vegan. And what they essentially hope to do is, by doing this, they can open more people's eyes to how wasteful our society is. Follow me and the freegans in the streets of New York City. I've always known New York City as the capital of consumption and abundance, but a report from the NRDC has shown that it's also the center of waste and especially food waste.
We're wasting 40% of the food that we produce, and that's costing our economy $165 billion every year. Stores create this sort of impression of abundance because they think that that's what consumers want to see, and that's what is actually going to encourage consumers to spend more, but it actually leads to a lot of waste.
About 50 million Americans struggle to put food on the table, and yet supermarkets keep throwing edible food away every day.
Welcome to the Freegan Trash Tour. My name is Janet, and tonight we're going to spend about the next hour and a half or two looking at the trash that stores throw out, mostly food stores. Open the bags, take food out, and try to salvage as much as possible. We ask that everybody be active and not just observing, so please try to dive in yourselves as well. If there are 12 bags, there shouldn't be 3 people opening them and the rest watching. 12 people should be opening 12 bags, at least. Okay.
I started dumpster diving in 2004. I joined the freegans right away. I used to get some emails, and it was through an organization called Wetlands Activism. And it was about environmental issues and human rights and animal rights issues, and they organized a dumpster dive, and I came to one of their meetings first, and after the meeting we went on a trash tour, and I was amazed to see that these people were able to eat what they found.
Apples?
I go dumpster diving maybe about 2 or 3 times a week. Sometimes it's not a big dumpster dive like you see on a trash tour, but I might, on my way home, stop and open a bag and take something, and that's it. Not a big deal, not a 2-hour tour, but just a little something. Or sometimes if I'm in Manhattan anyway and I'm leaving and it's nighttime, I'll stop somewhere, pick up a bag of salad from the trash, or get a few apples or get some bananas and then go home. And sometimes on the trash tour, I get so much that I don't really have to go for another week.
Okay, I'm taking a bunch of the avocados for the feast.
Black bean and corn.
You go into a supermarket and you see these big, big mountains of fruits and vegetables. And fruits and vegetables are actually the thing that's wasted the most. Over half of the fruits and vegetables that we grow get wasted and don't get eaten.
Right now we're on 2nd Ave. I'm actually with a group of over 30 people, and we're going to the second location.
I got it. Up against the wall there. Oh, look, those are petals.
Anybody want flowers?
No, it's not even expired for another 4 or 5 days. October 22nd.
Mozzarella cheese. And the expiration date on this is October 24th.
What's the date today?
Today's the 16th.
This is organic, earthbound farms. This is all, this is what the people who are eco-conscious are supposed to have. But yet, this was probably grown in California, wrapped in plastic, put on a refrigerated truck, and shipped all the way here to New York to then just be discarded in the dumpster. So all of these things are in the garbage because they were deemed to no longer have commercial value.
Usually people will get the assumption that, you open the garbage and you make a mess. No, they're very systematic in the sense that they untie the garbage, they take out what they want, they leave it on the side for everybody to get an idea. It's a communal share, so you take whatever you want. And the great thing is, afterwards, as you can tell here, they tie it back and they put it back the way that they found it.
I can't believe it.
They're in here. Can I get one of those? Probably.
I have a bouquet of flowers, a large 1 pound loaf of, looks like a baguette, some cilantro, other bread, some bagels, a salad, a whole bunch of bread, apples, a grapefruit, and a Halloween costume. Baguette. How about baguette?
Consumers kind of expect all of their food to look really perfect. So supermarkets have really, really strict standards for what fruits and vegetables should look like, what size they should be, what color they should be, what they should weigh. And so farmers actually overplant because they need to make sure that they're going to be able to deliver enough of those perfect fruits and vegetables.
After the trash tours, Janet and the other Freegans often organize what they call a feast, a community dinner where all the food comes from what they have found in the dumpsters.
We're making a carrot soup with beets, and it's gonna have ginger and onion and a little bit of a kick.
Everything I eat, I compost. And it doesn't make sense to waste even food waste because it's not natural to put it with a bunch of plastic where it won't break down naturally. And it's stealing from the earth, really. It's not rotten because it's all alive. But if it were sitting in plastic bags or in plastic and trapped, it would smell rotten and stink because it would not be breaking down aerobically. But this smells good, and it's earth, and even though it's really not originally earth, it's just the waste of all of that food, and the worms come from underneath.
Freeganism has become Janet's daily lifestyle. Janet not only rescues food from being thrown out, but everything that she can use. She doesn't buy anything.
I must save a lot of money, yes. It's a funny question because I'm a high school Spanish teacher. I think many of my students know I don't really talk about it much, especially not in class, and some people say things like, well, why do you eat it then? You don't need to. You could buy your food. Why don't you give it away? And I do give much of my food away, but I also eat it myself. I think the big savings and the big use of my money will be that I will be retiring or quitting my job really at the end of this year. I'll be 50, but I'm not supposed to retire until I'm 55. I would say that's the big luxury of being a freegan, is that I am now enabling myself to live so close to for free that I'll be able to quit my job.
We always say here that you manage what you measure. When you have no idea how much waste is happening, you're not likely to do anything about it. There are supermarkets, they actually figured out where their food waste was happening, and as a result, they're saving something like $100 million a year because they figured out where it was happening and they took steps to reduce that waste and made themselves some money in the process, which is great.
Apple turnover. Meeting the freegans and attending a trash tour has definitely made me realize how wasteful our society is. And since then, I look at garbage differently. According to Dr. Ruth Cava from the American Council on Science and Health, most food that's thrown out by stores today is still safe to eat if you clean it and cook it appropriately. Unfortunately, only 10% of available edible wasted food is recovered each year in the US. Dixon, of the methods you've studied, how can any of them actually address the issue to prevent further losses during agricultural production?
Right, well, what I think we have to do is we have to re-envision agriculture. Let's say that we've been a species for about 200,000 years. Mm-hmm. For almost all of that time, we never farmed.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, we got this idea about farming. Mm-hmm. When we did, we were only 1 million people. Today, that's 10,000 years later, we're now 7 billion people.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not bad to have 7 billion people, but it's bad to use the entire continent of South America to have 7 billion people.
Yeah.
Okay, because we're running out of land.
Yes.
So another way to farm, let's think about another way to farm. What about this, right here? You've got these plants, they're sitting in water. If you put a little nutrient in there, these plants would stay alive a long time, and they may even start to grow bigger. It's called hydroponics. There's no soil.
So it's obvious that the social, environmental, and economic impact are really great. And the NRDC also reports that if we just reduce 15% of those food losses, we can actually feed more than 25 million Americans every year. So let's go meet Professor Alex Vitale at Brooklyn College and John Stepanian to learn more about Food Not Bombs.
In 1989, I moved to San Francisco and was interested in getting involved in public policy issues. And I learned that there was a group that was providing support to the homeless encampment, and they were set up there 24 hours a day giving out free food to people. One of the most important and sort of powerful things about Food Not Bombs for me and for others I've talked to is this ability to combine helping people with political action. People don't just need substance or subsistence, people need social change. And Food Not Bombs tries to live at the intersection of those things.
People come here because for one reason and another they believe that food should be free and it should be given out. I made lentil soup and black-eyed peas. It's kind of an intimation of paradise where everybody gets enough. And I really love that.
Here is Pearl eating her food out there with John and everybody sharing the food on Saturday from 3 to 4 o'clock. Yay!
Because of a kind of defiant attitude within Food Not Bombs that says that you know, you ask us to respect government and to play by the normal political roles, and yet year after year there are more homeless people on the streets, more people lined up at soup kitchens, more people using food banks. So that approach is not working.
My name is Letitia. I'm homeless, living with a friend, and it was hectic. It was nice coming over here first time. Nice people, and I appreciate for the donation. And I hope everybody enjoyed their day.
What did you get?
Ice cream, the eggs, and some potatoes.
Right.
Serving free food openly, publicly, it draws attention to social problems that many city political leaders would prefer to kind of sweep under the carpet. So it's a way of saying that you can't pretend this problem doesn't exist.
My name is John Stepanian, and I am one of the co-founders for Long Island Food Not Bombs. In the summer of 2006, we came, like myself and a few of my friends came out here with a folding table, a single folding table, and then 2 large grocery bags of bread we had gotten from a local Trader Joe's. And it took us like an hour and a half to share it because people were like, why are you sharing free food on the street? What's the catch? People thought there was some kind of scam going on. And after a few months of doing this and being out here and people getting to know us, more people started coming and we started getting more food. And it just slowly grew from there. One folding table became many, many folding tables, and one location became many locations all across Long Island. A lot of food stores have us come once a week or twice a week, and they set things aside for us. Other food stores have us come in, and we look through and we tell them the things that they could salvage and that we can take.
How's it going today, guys?
Things might be a little bit more expensive at a store like Whole Foods, but you're more likely to go shop there if you know that they're going out and supporting your community. When we go to these food stores, everyone knows our names now. Everyone says, you know what, I was saving this stuff for you guys because I don't want to see it thrown out. Let's give it to you. Doing this today involves going to dozens of supermarkets and farms and having volunteers that can go to all those places. And we're lucky enough that we can fill up their vehicles and bring all that food out here. And so we really have developed a model in which one volunteer with 1 hour of time driving can bring about enough food for about 52 people for the entire week.
One of the challenges is to recover food that's healthy food. We don't need to recover leftover donuts. When you go to like a food bank, what you get is leftover corporate food. So some of that's fine. It's rice, it's beans, it's canned vegetables. What you also have is mountains of candy and granola bars and snack food that's then being given to poor people in group homes and stuff where people have problems with diabetes and obesity.
So it's not just giving somebody a warm meal, it's giving somebody a good amount of groceries for the entire week, usually 20, 25 pounds of groceries per person, and that includes really fresh produce and whole grain breads and healthy organic grocery items. Today at our share, we probably gave out about 15 to 20,000 pounds. On average, that's what we give out at our Hempstead food share.
Food is a blessing. It's a blessing from God. It's really good that they give us this food. Pancakes, apples, strawberries, milk, bread. It's too much for me. I give some away. It's a lot of food.
In an area like Hempstead, there's a lot of segregation, unfortunately. People don't think of Long Island as being, an economically challenged area, but Long Island has extreme wealth and extreme poverty.
Only got 2.
For Hempstead, we'll get anywhere between 400 to 500 people that come for groceries. Everything we do for free. We're all volunteers. To get all this food, we don't even spend $1.
Lemon yogurt.
Food Not Bombs has sort of stayed true in a way to its roots, which were very decentralized and a real reluctance to become institutionalized.
I make $1 a year with our nonprofit. Before I started doing this, I used to work at the United Nations, actually. I worked as a go-between between different NGOs on disaster relief. And, it's funny, like, you can have all these resources at your fingertips and have all these people working with you, but sometimes you can get a lot more done without that.
Anyone can start a Food Not Bombs anywhere they want to. There's very little cost. You just need a group of friends, some way to transport food, a kitchen space to cook in, and some literature, and you can start a group.
The quantity of waste is mind-blowing. I mean, we pick up from 60, 70 different food stores on Long Island every single week. There's over something like 9,000 something food stores across Long Island. You know, so we're picking up from less than 1% of the food stores on Long Island, and we're getting probably from the food stores we pick up from less than 5% of what they actually waste that's still good. Heads up! Go up! We're making tools right now. Eventually there's going to be an iPhone app and an Android app where, you know, if I live in Minnesota somewhere and I'm a high school student and I want to collect food and distribute it in my community, I can go to a website and sign up, make an account, and download the app, and we'll talk to the food stores for you.
For me, the ideal would be to put Food Not Bombs out of work in a way, but that would require a handful of things. One would be, you know, reducing the amount of food insecurity. And the problem right now is that food insecurity is growing in the United States. Now, there's a real need for Food Not Bombs and lots of other groups that can try and address these problems.
Welcome back. So as the founder of the Vertical Farming Project, tell us why and how vertical farming is a solution.
Well, let's talk about urban agriculture first. And so it's an old idea. In fact, it dates back to the Middle Ages, where the city and the farm were right next to each other. Okay? And in fact, that's why we had to have laws to kick out the farm as the city grew bigger. It couldn't have cows and horses and pigs and goats moving in the middle of an active city. So there are now laws that prevent that.
Right.
So now we have to repeal those laws and get back to the way we were. So today, the urban agricultural movement, and I'll call it that because it is, makes use of all the abandoned spaces in cities, the lots that have plots of ground on them, rooftops, above ground beds with soil and plants of various kinds, and it's all over the United States. So now vertical farming is the most high-tech iteration of urban agriculture.
When you speak of the vertical farm, can you go into a little bit more detail of how it looks like?
Sure. So in 2010, I wrote a book.
Yes.
I must discuss that, called The Vertical Farm of all things. And in it, I have a whole chapter on how to make a vertical farm.
Wow.
What goes into a vertical farm? Okay. First of all, it has to be 2 stories or more. Second thing is it has to use either hydroponics or aeroponics, which means you dissolve your nutrients in water.
Oh.
No soil, and the roots of the plants absorb the nutrients and the water gets recycled. And you just keep adding nutrients, and you capture the water out of the air and recycle it and put it back into the nutrient solution. So that's good.
Well, Dixon, thank you very much for being here. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And for those of you at home, I hope you enjoyed today's presentation, and I'll see you next week.